You gonna say something? Hello. I thought we were having like a conversation.
No.
Okay. So welcome back to Arcadia. It has been a few months since we did the spring farm tour, and interesting thing to note. Kayla was actually in labor during the spring farm tour, so she wasn't just very pregnant. So we now have one more very important farm animal. His name's Theodore, and he's sleeping right now. So we're going to take the opportunity to shoot a little video to let you know what we've been up to here on the farm. Just it won't be as long as the last one. Just a quick update on some projects and stuff. Anything to add?
No, that is all.
Okay. Welcome back to the garden. So we are at a point where we're transitioning from our summer garden into our fall garden. So it's not as, doesn't look as green and lush as it did even 3 or 4 days ago. But come on inside and see what's growing. So I hope you like beans. That's we've had a lot of things really struggle this year that we've never struggled with before. Beans, not one of them. We're getting like 4 or 5 pounds of beans a day at this point. So if you know anybody who needs beans, send them our way. We have a archway of tomatoes. It's been kind of a rough year for tomatoes, but we have been getting a fairly steady supply. I don't think we grew nearly enough. Why are you laughing? This guy?
That tomato plant is very large.
This is the electric lettuce variety of tomato, and we're looking forward. That's one of the things, along with beans, that's done really well. But tomatoes doing pretty good. I like this trellis system, just a T-post and little PVC pipe holders, and then some strings. Although, don't buy the cheap garden string because then your tomatoes fall off. And what else we got? So edamame is just starting. That's a kind of soybean that we like to steam with a little bit of salt. Peppers are in full swing. We did a pretty heavy harvest today, but here we've got jalapenos. This plant was supposed to be a habanero, but I don't even think it's a hot pepper. And it's definitely not a habanero, so we're pretty pissed off at the Fancy Garden Center for that one. $7 for an organic habanero plant. Probably wasn't even organic. And our sweet peppers. So we have red and yellow sweet peppers. I forget which ones are which. We're doing pretty good in the beet department. These ones are probably ready to come in. Banana peppers are just about done. They're still flowering. But
Hold on, somebody's joining. Just climb the fence.
Yeah. There's Girl Scout cookie.
This is Scout. Coming to join the party.
And poop in our garden. And don't look at the cucumber failure. Peas are just about done. We didn't do a fall crop of peas just because there's a lot on our plate. Potatoes have had a rough year with potato bugs and stuff like that, but we should still get a yield. Eggplants, on the other hand, our aubergines have done really well. We've probably gotten 10, 15 off of them so far, and they keep throwing on fruit. We have a really funky looking cauliflower, which, like, I've never grown cauliflower before, may never grow cauliflower again, but you can eat it. It just doesn't look much like a cauliflower. And up here we're getting more into our fall plantings. So we've got some rutabaga, we've got some different kinds of radishes, more rutabaga, winter greens, and the kale is still going strong. This stuff was planted in just about late April, I think. And a bunch of lettuces, bolting arugula here, which we'll let it go to seed and we'll save some seed. And we've got more following up. Swiss chard, same as the kale, still going strong. Onions, we didn't do so well with onions this year, but we might get 5 or 6 pounds of onions for all that work. And that's about it for what's going on in the rabbit-proof garden.
So a quick update on the ants' garden. It's been a little bit neglected on account of raising a newborn for the last 3 months, but the ants were here in July and they helped do some weeding. We planted some 4 o'clocks, which have already flowered, some more bee balm, which is flowering, so that's really nice to see. And my dahlia did really well. One of my dahlias, I planted 5 of them in different locations around the farm. This one is done best by far, and it's very, very beautiful. Looks like I will get a bunch of blooms, but pretty proud of that one. The rhubarb is kind of doing its thing. It kind of died back during the heat of summer, and now it's kind of coming back. So we're hoping to transplant that out into the orchard later on. The irises didn't flower, but they put on a lot of green growth, so hoping that next year they'll be a little bit more established. And that's about it.
In the orchard, our one apple tree, well, we have 3 old apple trees. 2 of them didn't put on any fruit this year. But this one, our trusty Paula Red, had a bumper crop. So we've been harvesting, and this is our first year really using the whole harvest. Last year we just sort of ate a few and let the rest drop on the ground. This year we've been cleaning up the windfall and sending that over to another farmer nearby where they have pigs. They're feeding them to their pigs and their horses. The slightly better but still not really good apples, Kayla's been crushing and making cider. So an experimental batch of Paula Red apple cider. It's fermenting in the basement, and the really good stuff we've been eating and selling, and making apple rings and apple sauce. So it feels pretty good to use the whole harvest. All of our transplants took. So everything from our cold hardy cherry bushes are doing really well. The hazelnuts seem to have recovered from their transplant. Even my poor golden russet apple seems to have weathered the great caterpillar storm of 2020. And all the rest of the transplanted trees have taken. Raspberries are doing fairly well. Blueberries are, we'll see. Hopefully they survive the winter. What else we got? Strawberries. Strawberries are going bonkers. We planted some out here in the orchard, but they all died in the drought. Yeah, that's the orchard. So we're still 3 to 5 years away to getting fruit off of these guys, but they will hopefully survive their first winter on the farm.
Now I'm standing by the newest additions to the farm. These are meat chickens. They're a Cornish cross, and they are about 3 weeks old, or just shy of 3 weeks, I guess. So we've been brooding them in the garage. There's 25 of them total. And they're just taking little day trips right now to get ready to put them out on pasture because they're almost feathered out. And this is a chicken tractor that Mike built. So yeah, they will get moved every day for the first little while once they're in here full time. And then twice a day once they're a little bit bigger. Their total lifespan is about 8 weeks, and then we'll be driving them to the knackers, I guess, for lack of a better word, to have them prepared for us. It was really hard to find somebody to butcher them because there's so many people are doing meat birds this year. But luckily we found somebody, and we won't have to do it ourselves, at least not this year. Yeah, so basically in order to move the shaw, there's a rope here, and there are wheels at the back that pop on and off. You can just pop on these, and then you can roll it to where it needs to go. Right now they're just kind of in the grass until we move them out on pasture permanently, but yeah, so far they're doing really well.
So why do we have them on pasture?
We have them on pasture because they will eat grass and bugs and get sunlight, which I think is a humane way to raise meat chickens. Yeah, overall they just are happier birds.
And why do we move them every day?
Move them every day because they will do quite a lot of damage in the short time that they have on pasture. I mean, over here, we had them over here for, a couple, like 4 hours the other day, and you can already see that they've like torn up the grass and they've pooped and eaten grass, scratched around and stuff like that, which is ultimately good for the grass, but yeah, they need to be moved. It's a benefit for them and a benefit to us. And they're very hungry, I think, right now.
So we're back out with the laying birds who've actually started laying now. We're getting between 6 to 8 eggs a day, which when they're at peak lay, we should be getting an average of about 10 eggs a day from our 12 hens. We don't get any eggs from the rooster, but the eggs taste extra creamy. On top of giving us eggs, we've also developed a pretty good system for moving them through the pasture, because nothing's really been raised on this pasture for the past 25 years or so. And as you can see, there's all kinds of woody growth and goldenrod and all sorts of stuff, which, if we were to put cows or sheep or something through here, there wouldn't be a whole lot for them to eat. So the chickens are doing us the favor of cleaning out a lot of the undergrowth. So the spot I'm standing in now is where they were about 4 or 5 days ago. They were here for about 10 days. Before they were here, it looked just like that, with a bunch of tall, brushy, scrubby brush. And they clean out the undergrowth pretty good. They've been in that spot for, I think they're in day 5 now, and they're about halfway done their work. We're finding about 10 days. It gives a pretty thorough clean, but they scratch up the dirt. They poop everywhere. We move their little mobile coop every day, so all their night poop is spread out in different spots. So they're clearing brush for us, they're fertilizing, they're eating bugs. And then this little area here, they were in about 2 weeks ago. You can see the grass is starting to come back. So we leave the remnants of the scrubby stuff for about 3 or 4 days. And then I come in with the scythe and just cut that stuff down, and that gives the grass and the clover and the things that the chickens like to eat a good head start. And let's go check out some of the effect that they have on the pasture. This is where the chickens' previous work was. So they were here about about a month ago, and you can see how quickly the grass has bounced back. And you compare that to the untouched stuff right next to it. Obviously they knocked down a lot of the dead stuff and manured it and stuff, so you're getting a lot of fresh growth that's not getting the benefit of. But that's also pumped, because they're knocking the grass back, they're also pumping a lot of carbon into the ground, which increases our organic matter, increases how much water we retain in the soil, and it's going to extend the amount of time that we can have animals on pasture as we continue to add layers to the farm, be that more layers or be it herbivores or pigs and that sort of stuff. And you can't see it, it's not as pronounced now, but you can see this is 10 days, then 10 days, then 10 days, and you walk it back and you're starting to get to hip high fresh green grass again. Everything nicely fertilized, and much fewer things that chickens and animals don't like to eat.
So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 hives here now. I think it's been a pretty good year. So Kurt from Unit 77 Honey is the keeper of the bees, and he's come to harvest, I think, about 300 to 400 pounds of honey, spring honey, from one of the hives that was doing really, really well. So we have spring honey from our farm that's now available for purchase in our farm stand. And I think he's hoping to do a fall harvest as well. So all in all, it's been a pretty good year for the bees, and we hope that it continues into next year.
This is how we stress test the chicken coop.
I'm standing next to our garage, where we had, during the last video, we had all of our garlic planted out, and I had planted squash plants along the border. And the plan was to have sunflowers all along the other border of the garden, but these squirrels dug up most of the seeds we planted, and we only got one sunflower, but there's about 15 heads on the sunflower, so I guess that kind of makes up for it.
So who planted that one?
That was my niece, and she tripped with the seeds, and this one fell in between the rocks on the side of the garden or side of the garage, and really wanted to survive. So it's definitely the most prolific sunflower I've ever seen. Yeah, in terms of squash, I mean, it was a really dry year, and I had 8 different varieties of squash, and they were planted out in different locations in order to prevent like cross-pollination. And it was so dry, like a lot of the plants died off, but this is definitely one of the most prolific ones. This is an acorn, and it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 huge acorn squash on it. So I'd say that's a success. Some of the other ones died off, but we'll at least get like 6 to 7 acorn squash, which, you know, should be enough for a month or so of eating, which is exciting. Our garlic harvest went really well. I think we had, you know, like 100% germination nearly.
You don't have to show.
With the garlic, and now we pulled it, and now it's curing in the garage. Like I said.
Da, 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 da.
So I think we have about 300 bulbs of garlic. About half of those are going to be replanted this fall, which we haven't really decided where. And the rest of them will just be for eating and selling a bit. So 2 new additions to the farm, Jerry and Scout. We were going to get cats this year. We had a lot of rodents in the garden eating tomatoes and things like that, and we also had mice building nests all over the place, so we had talked ourselves out of it. And then somebody up the road from here had these 2 little cats living under her deck and was looking for a new home for them, so we decided to pick them up. And they're the friendliest barn cats I've ever met. They really want to be indoor cats, but they are outdoor cats, and they're doing a good job at deterring the squirrels from eating the tomatoes and things like that. And it's really fun because they're brothers and they wrestle with one another, and it's and they love Hugo too.
So on today's episode of how much we love our chickens, Kayla hand-bombing baby meat birds into the school bus to take them back into their brooder for the night. Every day, oh, bless you, Theodore. Every day, 2 trips in the big blue bus. The pathway garden is starting to take shape. Friend Paul helped us to sheet mulch. So next year we'll be able to plant into these spots once this big, sadly dying white ash comes down. That'll be a lot of firewood. The ash borer has it. It's been a good year for beans, marijuana, and the emerald ash borer. But a few more patches here and there, and we're still sort of measuring out how wide the lawnmower is. And we'll be planting a new row of trees along here in the spring. Speaking of dead ash trees, this one at the end of our laneway, the ash borer also got. So it turns out that the trunk is on city or on the road easement, so the municipality paid to have it taken down, and we get a whole bunch of wood out of it. So out of that one ash tree, we're hoping to get enough boards to make a big, long harvest table. Firewood and mulch.
So that's about all that's been going on around here. Already making plans for next year.
A lot of lessons learned.
Oh, there's a cat coming to join us. But yeah. Oh.
Yeah, so just wanted to give an update on all the things we've been doing. Everything's on a very small scale right now, because a lot of the stuff we've never done before, and we knew we were going to be having a little baby to take care of, and he's be our first priority. And we're not showing him on the YouTube because we don't want the internet to own him from birth. But those of you who friends and family, come and see him, and neighbors and customers. Hopefully this will hold you over until we can do actual physical farm tours.
Thanks for watching.
See you in the fall. Too much chicken shit to smell. Good boy. Oh, good boy. Speaking of big dead ash trees, this one, the ash borer also got. Good boy, good girl. Yes, you're very nimble.